Hey, everyone. It's Tuesday. I've survived Monday. Apparently, you have too. Let's start out with this clever little video.
Oh my god. Game Boy Advance full of beans. Hi, I'm Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary. In my first tweet, I asked you to send me your questions, and today I'll be answering them. If you were playing hide and seek at the White House, where would you hide? This comes to us from POTUS, Mr. President. If I told you where I was hiding, that would take the fun out of hide and seek. The rose bushes. Ted Cruz writes, everyone is cyberbullying me. How do I make it stop? Well, Teddy, that's going to happen. Not everybody is going to like you, especially if you incite violence against them. I suggest baking. Everyone loves a good lemon bar. If you bring enough for the entire Congress, I suspect that might turn things around after you resign. Circling back, the shape of the day is circle for circling back, which we are now doing. Well, this was a lot of fun. I'm going to go now and read Thomas the Tank Engine to people.
Hey, everyone. Of course, that was not Jen Psaki. That was a comedian who looks like Jen Psaki. I believe her name is Chelsea Pope. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm on my second cup of coffee. We're here to share some laughs, share a bit about the news, and enjoy ourselves, I guess. Here in the Northeast, at least in the Boston area, I don't have a whole ton of snow on the ground. I'm not unhappy about that. Got a lot of rain, not a lot of snow. This much snow? I don't know. Is that a measurement? I guess that's a measurement right there. What are the stories we're going to be covering today? Let me look at my set list here. We got crazy. We got a person, the pharmacist who destroyed vaccines, Oregon, and drugs. That's actually a big story. Body cams on cops in Minneapolis, and of course, Mitch McConnell squares off against Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh my fictitious God. So much fun. Maybe even a few steps forward. Maybe the country is moving slowly, schlepping forward. All right, let's see see how everyone's doing in the chat. Oh, good morning, Jess, Brainbug. Derek, never again. It's good to be here. Happy to be here. Happy to be drinking my second cup of coffee. And, I thought the question of the day, and I don't actually know the answer to this. Maybe Daphne saw you drinking out loud. Do you even remember being on Neil the Sixth? Yes, I do remember, Simply Secular. I do remember that I was talking way too much on Neil's 604 Atheist After Show. My Drinking Out Loud show, which I do on the last Saturday of every month, I really do handle my alcohol okay on that show. But the thing is, I just kept drinking after that. So by the time I got on Neil's 604, the 604 Atheist After Show, that was rough. That was rough for me personally. So we'll get to the question. We'll go from one awkward point to another awkward point. So the Republicans are doing the Civil War. The Republicans, you have the traditional Republicans and you have the Trump Republicans. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Is it going to be evil Mitch McConnell or evil Marjorie Taylor Greene? Is it going to be, I don't know what kind of comparisons we could say here. Is it going to be like, is Mitch McConnell stage 2 cancer and Marjorie Taylor Greene like stage 3 cancer? I'm not really sure. Obviously, there's more money with the traditional Republicans. And so they have the edge. However, the base are Trumpists. So it's going to be money versus muscle. That's what it is. This is what the competition is between traditional Republicans and Trump Republicans. It's going to be money versus muscle. James Henry. Too early to predict. It is. I think it is. I think it is too early to predict. And, I have to tell you, the impeachment trial is going to be telling. I think if Republicans and Democrats can keep Trump from going for re-election, trying to get reelected as president of the United States, that would take a lot of air out of that Zeppelin, out of that balloon, out of the Trump movement. That's what I think. Simply Secular says, unfortunately, Trump had a gun to the GOP's head. Yeah, if he runs as an independent, he will split their vote and guarantee they lost. They can't afford to ignore him. Well, that's the thing, right? You can make a really strong argument that the Republican Party is in this kind of weird suicide pact with the Trumpists. That if they're just in this deep pit of trouble with the monster that they made. Brain bug, is this a scene where Vader tries to toss the Emperor into the shaft of the Death Star? I guess Mitch McConnell would be Darth Vader in this case, and Emperor Palpatine would be Trump. Yeah. Well, Vesta, this would be ideal. Can we have them both battle to the death, and the winner is fed to the lions? That way, the USA wins. It would be really nice just to have Trump continue to split the Republican Party, make his own third party, right? Make his own third party and just demolish and destroy any Republican plans for becoming president within the next few cycles. That would be nice. Rage. How are you doing, sir? The question is, who will win, traditional Republicans or Trump Republicans? I think it's money versus muscle. McConnell, traditional Republicans have the money. The Trumpists, they have the boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. Well, that's the thing about McConnell, and you're right about that, James Henry. He has many more people out against him in terms of the base. But he has a lot of power in the Senate as minority leader within his own crew. So, and the thing is too about McConnell is that he can use not only his own resources as Republican leader in the Senate, but he can also manipulate the Democrats to go after those people too. So he has that going for him. Well, you raise a very good point. Trump, Mr. Rage, the Trump will win. So Mr. Rage is calling it for Trump right here and now. Let it go on the record. I'm agnostic about it. I don't have enough information whether or not Trump will win or McConnell. There's always a third choice too. There's always the thesis, the antithesis, and then the synthesis. If somehow Trumpism without Trump, if they're able to get rid of Trump and the crime family out of Trumpism, is that possible? Perhaps the Republicans, the traditional Republicans, can take their own base back. Perhaps. Yeah, Knock, I heard about your loss in the family. Sorry to hear about that too, brother. So Rage says Trump Republicans. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But at least it'll be very entertaining. What we do know is that it'll be very entertaining as the two groups square off in a knife fight over the next who knows how long. Who knows when. Well, you're right about that, James Henry. One thing is for certain, this fratricide will destroy the GOP as we know it in its current form. Yeah, the GOP, let's face it, the GOP couldn't survive in the traditional Republican form anyway. They couldn't win national elections. If it wasn't for Donald Trump back in 2016, the Republicans would have lost to Hillary Clinton. The only thing that saved them then was Trump's crazy cult of personality. Without Trump's crazy cult of personality, they really are in a tough position, which is excellent. Will they change? Will they somehow evolve into a party that isn't just a white evangelical party, there are enough incentives for traditional Republicans to try to broaden the base of the party at this point. Because if traditional Republicans don't try to broaden the base of the party, then all they have are Trump people. And so there's an incentive for traditional Republicans to reach out to different groups, to be more flexible. Will they? Do they have the leadership? Do they have the drive? Do they want to? I don't know. The leaders of the GOP will have to make a deal with Trump, make his daughter the press secretary or something to gain support of the party. Negative God, good to see you. I thought the same thing after Bush Jr. The only thing that saved the party after Bush Jr., like I said, in terms of being able to get the presidency, is Donald J. Trump's crazy cult of personality. All right, so let's go on to what? To laughing. I like laughing. Let's check out what we have for the morning memes. Morning memes. First morning meme. Oh, hey, it's the Bible. A tape. Antiquated technology right there. The Bible read in the original Klingon. The Bible read in the traditional Klingon. Does anyone here in the chat actually speak Klingon? I know it's a living language, so to speak. I know that there is a Klingon dictionary out there, and there are people fluent in Klingon. I am not. I don't have a good brain for foreign languages. I don't have a good brain for this language either. But I know that there are some people who can speak Klingon, and I'm sure somewhere on the internets there is someone reading the Bible in Klingon and has recorded it. Right, you dated a girl that spoke it, huh? That could have been pretty hot in certain circumstances. You're a Trekkie to the bone. Bomb. So let's see, what do we got next coming up? I like this one, to tell you the truth. I like this one. It's past socialist plots. So you have the Federal Highway Act of 1956. You get the Public Parks Program of 1905, public schools in 1790, the dreaded socialist plot of FDR and 1935 Social Security, and of course, 1965 Medicare. And it's interesting to note that one of the only reasons why we have highways, an interstate highway system, is so that the military can move around the country. And that was born in the days of the Cold War. And Eisenhower's like, we got to be able to move troops around the country. We have this crazy federated system here with states doing crazy things. But yes, there will be time possibly that we'll have to move tanks from Massachusetts to California. And we should have a road. We should have roads that we can do that in. A lady speaking Klingon is unattractive, to say the least. There's someone on OnlyFans that's their shtick. Someone who's just reading or able to speak Klingon fluently. And they probably have like a gazillion fans. All right, last meme before we get into the nuts and bolts of today's news. If you give a handout to Wall Street, they'll just gonna spend it on drugs. What? You hear this excuse all the time about people not giving money to homeless people. These are the same people who don't want to give money to homeless people on the streets. A lot of them are people who want to give bailouts to Wall Street. So right? We're not going to give money to homeless people, but we'll give taxpayer bailouts to Wall Street and banks. Oh, and by the way, one of the stories that we're talking about today, yes, drugs, the legalization or the decriminalization of drugs in Oregon. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We are going to talk about drugs. We are going to talk about a pharmacist. We are going to talk about vaccines. Put them all together. What do you get? A pharmacist destroying vaccines. And with who... Okay, I'm just going to get to the story. And the story is from Hemet Meta, the friendly atheist over on Pathos. Vaccine destroying pharmacist thinks the sky was made to stop us from seeing God. Most of us here know that the Old Testament cosmology, there is the firmament. The firmament is like this hammered metallic substance that keeps the waters of the heavens away from the earth, right? This pharmacist who destroyed a bunch of these vaccines, he has his own theory about the firmament, about the sky. Let's take a look. Steve Brandenburg is the notorious pharmacist from Wisconsin who is charged with ruining hundreds of COVID vaccines because he believed they were a giant hoax. Look at him. Look at him. He's a domestic terrorist. Destroying vaccines? Okay. Maybe he's not. Is he achieving political ends via the use of fear? All right, maybe not. Maybe. But let's see what he believes in. But as so often the case, it turns out he just doesn't cling to a single conspiracy theory. He's completely full of them. They involve the belief that the Earth is flat. Duh, of course. And that the sky is a man-made object meant to block us from God. Let me say that again. The sky is a man-made object meant to block us from God. He's also someone who frightened people close to him, who thought he would resort to violence. I've never heard the concept as the sky being a conspiracy. The sky itself being a conspiracy, and the sky was made to make sure that we could not see God. This is the first time I've been exposed to this particular conspiracy. The Daily Beast has more on the FBI search warrant application, which was just unsealed. Some of the conspiracy theories Brandenburg told the co-worker included the Earth is flat, the sky is not real. Rather, it is a shield put up by the government to prevent individuals from seeing God, and Judgment Day is coming. All right. Well, a couple of those are biblically based. Any Bible-believing Christian will tell you Judgment Day is coming. And, once again, Old Testament cosmology is the world is flat and supported by 4 stone columns, as I recall. 4, I believe it's 4. In a subsequent interview followed by an email included in the warrant application, Brandenburg confessed that he did spoil the vaccines because he thought they would, quote, alter the recipient's DNA, which it doesn't. He further explained that he was in the midst of a very contentious divorce and wasn't sleeping properly. I would be fascinated to to see who was married to him, to Mr. Brandenburg, because he would just talk, hanging out at the breakfast table, having your first cup of coffee in the morning. How you doing, honey? Well, the sky, it's still, the government put the sky up there, the government, to keep us from seeing God. And that's his lead off every morning while he's eating his cornflakes. Oh, yes, James Henry, the dude is a pharmacist. And he destroyed vaccine because he thought it was a conspiracy. Apparently, as soon as you think to yourself that the sky is a government conspiracy, that the government built the sky to keep you from seeing God, destroying vaccines is nothing. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump from there. Brainbug thought the sky was crystalline. It is interesting if all churches speak Klingon, don't they, Derek Crews? So I would be fascinated to find out about, so the government made the sky. Are there different, did the government from 1790s make the sky? The Illuminati, that was probably here since the beginning of time. The government, they made the sky. That's probably how it probably flows. Right, never again. The government that was only established some 250 years ago. Yeah, all right. So yeah, 245 years. Yes, those are the people who made the sky. Hello, Dr. Osiris. I was going to call you Dr. Octopus. I'm sorry. I got my inner geek showing there right now. We just covered the Wisconsin pharmacist who destroyed all those vaccines and who believed in a variety of different conspiracy theories. And I have to tell you, he just wasn't some garden variety conspiracy theory person. He really took the ball, embellished it, ran with it. And let's see what's the next story? Oh, decriminalize drugs. Decriminalize drugs. So we had someone destroying drugs, destroying the vaccine, bad. And now you have the war on drugs being won by drugs, for all intents and purposes, in the great state of Oregon. Let's take a look at this story. All the links are below. I have links in the description. Let's see. Oregon law to decriminalize all drugs goes into effect, offering addicts rehab instead of prison. All drugs, not just some drugs, not just marijuana, all drugs. Let's take a look. So the story starts off, it's a rather long story, and I just give you guys clippets. Gullickson is the executive director, a past addict, an addict in recovery. So this is who is being referenced in this bit. Now, Gullickson, executive director of Mental Health and Addiction Association of Oregon, is determined to give other addicts the same opportunity, that is rehab. That's why she pushed for the passage of Measure 110, first of its kind legislation that decriminalizes the possession of all illegal drugs in Oregon. Let's read that again. Measure 110, first of its kind legislation that decriminalized the possession of all illegal drugs in Oregon, including heroin, cocaine, meth, and oxycodone. Instead of a criminal justice-based approach, the state will pivot to a healthcare approach, offering addicts treatments instead of prison time. There is a possession. Those in possession will be fined $100. A citation will be dropped if they agree to a health assessment. Oregon is moving away from this punitive model and moving to more of a public health model. Not too shabby, Oregon. The law goes into effect Monday and will be implemented over the next decade by the state officials at the Oregon Health Authority. Advocates say the pivot will be life-changing for thousands of Oregonians. Quote, one of the things people misunderstand is how criminalization creates barriers to treatment, said Cassandra Frederici, the executive director of the Drug Policy Alliance, a national nonprofit dedicated to legalizing illicit drug use. If we want people to make different choices, we have to give them more options. Ending decriminalization will do leaps and bounds around ending shame, which automatically opens people up for other opportunities. Nationally, others are hopeful that this could be the first wave of progressive measures that undo years of damage caused by drug criminalization, which disproportionately imprison people of color around the U.S. You know, people talk about defunding the police and ending the prison industrial complex in this country. And I have to tell you something. I think if we decriminalize drugs, then that'll be a blow against, of course, the prison system in general, because there'll just be less people going to prison. There'll be a less need for prisons. And instead of building prisons, we'll be building up local healthcare centers, areas that people can actually access healthcare. Addicts can get help that they need to help them transition from drug use. Never again. No freaking way else. JSM. Yeah, it's about time states did this. And this is true. I know here in the Boston area, there was a big fight about having safe areas for addicts to shoot up in. I know it's a program that other states, other cities have played around with. Boston hasn't done that. It is something, because in these areas where addicts would be able to shoot up, they'd be able to be supervised in case anyone overdoses. They could get medical treatment immediately as against to dying. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, yeah, there's always going to be problems with the system. What's important, of course, is that people who are addicts don't have criminal records, so that they aren't trapped in this punitive system for the rest of their lives. Well, I don't know about that, sir. But I'll take your word for that. So, so what kind of rehab? There's a variety of different types of rehab that people can go to. Typically, outpatient clinics. There's a lot of sober housing too that people aren't aware of. Areas in the community that people who are not ready to move back home can go into and live in a structured environment. So there's sober housing, there's outpatient clinics. There's a spectrum of different types of rehab people can get into, as against to using prison, because what prison is being used for here in the States is basically punishing people, making money, and in a strange way, detoxing people, kind of, sort of, since you can still score drugs in prison anyway. Doc Osiris says, I wish the UK would stop effing around with the issue. While prescriptions can be gotten within as little as an hour of asking for addiction, the rest of us, the laws are still draconian. Yeah. Well, it's part of our puritanical past here, and Christianity, and the Abrahamic religions of blaming people. We are treating addiction as if it isn't a disease like it is cancer or any other kind of disease. And once we get a realistic view, a fact-based view, a database view, a grasp policy on addiction, it's going to be a big step forward. Yeah, you're right about that, Brainbug. Private prisons are a vestige of slavery. Having come up in the 80s during the entire crack epidemic, and people being thrown into prison for exceptionally long times for non-violent acts, madness. Locking someone up for 5 grams costs 500 euro a day. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, and that's the thing too. The drug war in prison also harms the economy incredibly. And once again, police, if they're not, once again, I think that this will have a beneficial effect with the fact that the police will have one less argument for why they need all this money, why they need assault weapons. Because decriminalization, yes, there'll be less need for, let's say, busting into people's houses, with the excuse of finding drugs. Goldie Milkins, hello. The war on drugs and Just Say No was the root of urban downfall. Yeah, and not the welfare system. Yeah. The war on drugs, incompetently done, primarily just to make people feel, just so that the corrupt system can get more corrupt. All right, let's go with the next story. Are we doing next story? Let me see where we are. Oh, actually, this is halfway through the show. How is this that it's already halfway through the show? It's 9:30, and so we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break from the pharmacist who thinks the government made the sky to keep us from seeing God. First story. We're going to take a little break from Oregon decriminalizing all drugs too, not just marijuana, decriminalization of everything. And now we're going to take a little break, and we're going to watch something funny. Might be some language in this one, everyone. Might be.
I'm at this bar. I'm trying to watch the game. Bro next to me, just talking to me, because I guess I looked at him earlier. I don't know why we're talking. Just in my ear. I don't know why we're talking. And I was bored and I was curious. I just go, man, what do you think about transgender bathrooms? I took a risk. And life paid me back because he turned to me and he goes, bro, why would you give a fuck who shits next to you? And I was like, that's the right answer. I looked at him, I was like, you need to go to Middle America right now. And you need to just spread your words, my bros. We need to send the bro-gressives into Middle America. Armed only with natty ice and opinions. Because I am telling you, they ain't understanding the blogs, but they're gonna get one of these guys being like, bro, if all the gays get married, it's more pussy for us. They'll be like, I understand that. And we're somewhere.
I thought that was a funny clip. I hope you did too. Who cares who craps next to you? I don't care, to tell you the truth. I did enjoy that a little bit. Oh no, I just did something that I wasn't supposed to do. I hit the wrong button, but at least I didn't disconnect myself. I was doing Jenga yesterday for the 3 o'clock. I guess I'm doing a 3 o'clock show now too. I was doing this meditative, funny, I don't know if it was meditative. I felt better at 3 o'clock after I played Jenga with some of you who showed up. I disconnected myself and then I had to reconnect myself. So I'm always, making sure I don't put my monkey fist on the wrong buttons. Right, Sammy Jenkins? Good to see you. I thought that was a really, really good bit. And when we're arguing these when we're arguing these third rail topics with conservatives, sometimes just a joke like that can just cut through the crap. I'm sorry for the pun. It can just cut through the crap. It's like, who do you care who shits next to you? Yeah, wash your hands. I tell you this. Simply Secular. I remember doing comedy and just seeing a bunch of the youngins, the young dudes, not washing their hands after using the bathroom. That is enough to put the fear of fictitious God into your heart. Just don't. No, don't wash your butts in the sink. That's a bad idea. All right. So what's the next story we're doing? Body cams in Minnesota. Now, all right. I read this story yesterday. I think it's from USA Today. All the links are down in the description. You would think that body cams are on cops basically whenever they're engaging with someone. If they're doing crime stuff, if they're fighting crime, if they're so-called fighting crime, if they're interacting with a private citizen, with a group of people, you would think that body cam is on all the time. It turns out that's not the case. And Minnesota decided to do something about that. Let's take a look at the story. Got to find the story first. Here I am. Minneapolis police officers must keep body cameras turned on during entire response to a call, new policy says. This is new policy. So you kind of say to yourself, that means they didn't need to keep the body cams on at all times when responding to a call? Because you would think why you have a body cam is that you're using the body cam all the time when you're doing police stuff, right? That just naive, I guess. Let's take a look at the story. CNN, Minneapolis police officers will no longer be allowed to deactivate their body cameras in order to hold private conversations during the course of their response to an incident, according to a statement Monday from Mayor Jacob Frey and Chief Madeira, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this name with my Boston accent, Arradondo. It is one of the several new policies that have been implemented by Minneapolis and its police department following the death of George Floyd in May at the hands of former Minneapolis officers and the national protests which sparked for social justice. So good news is that the cops officially will not be able to shut off their own body cams officially while they are engaging. Police changes already adopted include requiring police to announce their presence and purpose before entering a no-knock warrant situations, except in certain circumstances like hostage standoffs, and the banning of the use of chokeholds. You know what you hear from knuckleheads, and I'm going to call Joe Rogan a knucklehead right now, because I've only heard a bit of Joe Rogan talking with other knucklehead guys, testosterone poison guys on his show. It's like, oh, if you don't use chokeholds, that means you can't control someone. Well, as a person who's done physical restraints, I have physically restrained much bigger people than me. I have restrained smaller people than me. Yeah, in a therapeutic environment. And at no point was I allowed to put anyone in a chokehold. If you know how to do restraints, you can actually control a person's body without wrapping your freaking shoulders, without choking someone. It's possible. So if you're talking to somebody, or if you hear this whole knucklehead idea that as soon as you get rid of chokehold, you won't be able to manage another person, that's just false. That is just false. The city also revised a policy regarding the view of body camera footage after a critical incident, overhauled its use of force policy, and added an embedded assistant city attorney to advise on police misconduct investigations, according to a press statement from the mayor and police chief. A step in the right direction, definitely several steps in the right direction in Minneapolis. Joe Rogan, yeah, I have to tell you, I think, I want to believe that Joe Rogan is trying to do the right thing, but I think he's just surrounded by too much testosterone. That's what I think. I think he's just been hanging out with the wrong crowd, and now he just does things. And he is a mean drunk. I'm a very happy drunk. Thank you very much. I have many people to say. Well, the girlfriend makes a point. Joe Rogan has to use a chokehold to restrain someone. He must suck at MMA. Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's what it is. So no chokeholds. Excellent. The idea that they have modified the use of force in Minneapolis. The idea that cops know that someone will be watching them at all times, that they will be recorded when they're engaging with citizens. Fantastic news. And it's something really that every single major city, every municipality should be doing. This should just be across the board. There should be, and I'll say it, there should be a federalization of police rules. And I know that's crazy, because the idea that you can go over this invisible border, you can go from one county to the next county, one city to the next city, and all of a sudden your life is less valuable. And that's what happens when there's chokeholds being done by the police. You go to Minneapolis where they don't do chokeholds. You go to another city close by, and all of a sudden they do chokeholds. That means basically you're more likely to die in the hands of the police. And the idea that local communities, that cities and counties and towns can decide whether or not their cops are going to use chokeholds, that's insane. That is an insane policy. It should be federalized. There should be just one rule about using the least restricted force. See, when I was working with people who were violent, the policy is that using the least restrictive force, using the least amount of force necessary to obtain the goals. And really, that's what police should be doing. Yeah, police are going to have to pull out their guns every once in a while. There's no doubt about that. But the idea is that you're supposed to be de-escalating people. The idea is that if you can avoid shooting someone and just physically restraining someone, getting them cuffed, least amount of force necessary. Oh, why, thank you, doctor. Well, thank you. I have seen Happy Drunk Andy. He's kind of adorable. Why, thank you. Well, yep. 6'2", 200 pounds. Joe, well, I think the problem with Joe Rogan is that he's just, it's just gone to his head. His critical thinking has been co-opted by his testosterone. That's what it is. Hello, sir. I'm not going to try to pronounce your name out of respect for you. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. But I'm glad that you're here. Once again, Minneapolis banning chokeholds and also mandating police have their body cams turned on all the time. And you know, Sammy Jenkins, I thought they were always on. You would think. You would see, now this is the problem. You know, this is the problem because, you know, most of us here, I'd say all of us here watching this right now, we're basically good people. And you assume there's this default mechanism, and maybe it's a default setting, and maybe it's a logical fallacy that other people are also good people. You know, deep down, you're thinking that. And so you're automatically assuming, oh, the cop has a body cam on, so that means he or she must be on right now. But apparently that's not the case. Oh, critical cripple. You raise an interesting point. Politicians wearing them next. And let me say this, right? And this isn't going to be maybe this is like some kind of radical socialist democratic idea, that if you're making people on welfare pee in a cup to see if they're on drugs, it's only reasonable to have politicians pee in a cup too, right? If you're going to have like that kind of rigid drug enforcement policy for people on welfare, or if there are people working for the government in high security positions that need to be drug free, then politicians should be peeing a cup too. All right. Well, you're right about that, James Henry. Your weapon should be your verbal skills. I mean, they're like, so I used to give trainings on how to de-escalate people, and it's always about a lot of it is about your demeanor, a lot of it's about your voice, how you hold yourself, understanding the situation, and a lot of these violent situations can be de-escalated if you do the right thing. Not all of them, of course, but a lot can. All right. So what are we doing? Are we doing another story? Oh, this is the story. This is Republican Civil War. I don't know. There should be some kind of sea shanty, some kind of song about the Republican Civil War. Let's check it out, because if you were looking at the news yesterday or you woke up this morning, there is this beef between Senator Mitch McConnell from Kentucky and Representative freshman Marjorie Taylor Greene. And let's check that out. McConnell says Taylor Greene's embrace of conspiracy theories a cancer to GOP and country. Mitch McConnell hates Donald Trump and Trumpism so much that he is going to do what he can to eradicate it. Apparently, Mitch McConnell didn't like the idea of having the Trump mob swarm the Capitol building, and something inside Mitch McConnell broke. It snapped. We've all had moments that something is going on, and there's a moment of crystallization. And you're like, this is going to stop. I may not be able to stop it, but I'm going to do what I can to stop it. And apparently, it was Mitch McConnell having to be brought out, with security so that he wouldn't be killed by the Trump riot on January 6th. And so he has now made it, apparently, his personal mission to fight Trumpism. And once again, the story, McConnell says Taylor Greene's embrace of a conspiracy theories is a cancer to GOP and country. Regarding to the GOP, I guess that just shows you that cancer can have cancer. If Republicanism, if big R Republicans are a cancer, the Republican Party is a cancer, then apparently Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald J. Trump are cancers within the cancer. Senate Minority Leader, oh, that sounds wonderful. Let's everyone just bathe in this for a little bit. just bathed in this. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell on Monday blasted Georgia GOP Rep Marjorie Taylor Greene's embrace of, quote, loony lies and conspiracy theories as cancer for the Republican Party. Somebody who suggested that perhaps no airplane hit the Pentagon on 9/11, that horrifying school shootings were pre-staged, and that the Clintons crashed JFK Jr.'s airplane is not living in reality, McConnell said in a statement first shared with The Hill. This has nothing to do with the challenges facing American families or the robust debates on substance that can strengthen our party. Wow. Let's just go on. Let's see what else Senate Minority Leader McConnell has to say. McConnell didn't mention Greene by name in his 3-sentence statement, but his rare, scathing remarks about a freshman GOP lawmaker from the other chamber suggest he recognizes the potential damage her violent rhetoric and bizarre conspiracy theories could inflict on congressional Republicans as they try to take back both the House and the Senate in next year's midterms. Yes, we've seen this before, that the Republican base puts up these lunatics for a general election, and a lot of the time they just don't, independent voters will not vote for them. They won't vote for them. And that's what Mitch McConnell's afraid of. And of course, he has the personal beef with Trump and Trumpists. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, she wasn't taking this lying down. She went to Twitter to do a little blast, to blast on Senate Minority Leader McConnell. This is what she wrote. The real cancer, I'm going to try to do my Lumpy Space Princess voice. The real cancer, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I can't do the voice this morning. I can sometimes do the voice, but I can't do this voice properly. I started doing Marjorie Taylor Greene's voice, and I started doing Mitch McConnell's voice. Yeah. The real cancer for the Republican Party is weak Republicans who only know how to lose gracefully. This is why we are losing our country. Marjorie Taylor Greene punching back to Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. There's more to this story. Democrats are threatening to force a floor vote this week to oust the controversial Georgia Republican from the Education and Labor Committee and the Budget Committee if House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy does not remove her first. Yes, this is, yes. And we should just mention the fact that she said that a variety of the school shootings were false flag events, that they never happened. And she's on that committee. She is on the Education and Labor Committee. McCarthy is set to meet with her on Washington as early as Tuesday. Some Republicans said they did not anticipate McCarthy booting her off the committees, given that she has the backing of former President Trump, who still holds enormous sway in the GOP. GOP Civil War. Yes, Mitch does not care about American James Henry. He cares about American money. He cares about the money given to him by big donors. Vesta, did I miss a great reset when McConnell becomes the voice of reason? A lot of this, I think, is it's personal for McConnell. His wife left the Trump administration right after January 6th. I think that if you are physically endangered by a fanatic, you don't like that fanatic anymore, and you don't like the crew. So Mitch McConnell is leading the fight, at least from the Republican side, against Trumpism and against Trump's acolytes. If you want to do something about Trumpism, you need to take down the source. You can start by finally burying that poor roadkill he wears on his head. Yeah, indeed. Oh, wow. Good point, Gully Mickens. Kentucky versus Georgia, which is what we have here. Kentucky versus Georgia. Sounds like an SEC East football or basketball game, indeed. Well, going back to an earlier point, Critical Cripple says, given the perks politicians get, I think losing your privacy completely while you're in office would go a long way towards discouraging the wrong sort of people. You're right. There should be some kind of cost for politicians, because a lot of politicians just see, getting into office as a payday, as a way to milk the system now, and once they get out of office, to become a lobbyist and make even more money. So there should be a cam on a politician, a cam on a chicken in every pot, and a cam on every politician. I'm running for office in an old-timey way. So yeah. Once again, hey, Iron Cherry dear, good to see you. So what did we talk about today? We talked about a bunch of things. We talked about the pharmacist who destroyed all those COVID vaccines, all those doses, who thinks that the government made the sky to keep us from seeing God. Yes, that's a real story. Yes, if you're just tuning in, you should check out earlier in the broadcast. There's links below. Oregon, decriminalizing all drugs. Oregon has decriminalized all drugs. They aren't talking about it. They have done it. Other stories about body cams for cops. Body cams for cops in Minneapolis have to be left on all the time while they're interacting with people, while they're engaging in policing. Crazy idea. But another great bit that we learned about Minneapolis police is that they've completely illegal. Police can no longer do chokeholds on people. And of course, the Mitch McConnell and Marjorie Taylor Greene beef erupted yesterday, with Mitch McConnell coming out strong, taking a few punches, and crazy woman Marjorie Taylor Greene counterpunching. Oh, wait, there's a little bit left. I do want to talk about what makes me feel good. And that means there's another little short video I want to share with you. Something to put a smile on your face, right? Put a smile on your face before we leave. Let's take a look. There might be some language. If you have virgin ears, you've been warned. There's language. Maybe.
You're both pastors. First off, you're bad pastors because you're here. Bad pastors. Also, you're both too attractive to be pastors. I'm telling you, are you youth group pastors? Youth group? You're gonna get in trouble. You are gonna get in so much trouble someday. Are you youth group or you're adults? We're worship music. Okay, you might be okay, but you are distracting to be in a worship band. No, don't say thanks. Just quit. Just quit right now. I'm sorry, we had a hot worship band too when I was a church person, and it was not okay. When the lights got dim and they were like, just think about Jesus, and you're like, I'm fucking trying. Can you please talk louder? Open
the people too physically attractive to be pastors. All right, Rage. Good to see that you're about to start your stream. Very good. And yeah. Thanks, Derek Cruz. I'm glad that you enjoyed the show today. I try to put on something that is entertaining and informative. Iron Cherry Tear asked me, Andy, do you think corrupt hedge fund managers and bankers and corrupt politicians should get the death penalty? I don't believe in the death penalty in general, because of course the racial history of the death penalty here in the United States of America, and also I believe in rehabilitation. And yeah, I don't think the government should have that kind of power. I don't think the government should have that kind of power to, especially the government of the United States of America, especially the state of Kentucky, especially, those entities should not have the power to kill citizens for crimes, because there's always going to be, and then you have to start asking yourself, right? And this is I've thought about the death penalty before. When I was a Christian, I was in favor of the death penalty, of course. But do I believe in punishment for white collar crimes? Definitely. Do I think people should be going to jail? Definitely. Do I think white collar crime should be treated the same as violent felonies? Yeah. There is no doubt about it. If you're destroying people's lives via the financial system, that should be treated the same as destroying someone's life if you're holding up a liquor store and you're killing somebody. So there should be corruption, but I can't buy into the death penalty, because then you ask yourself, how many innocent people killed via the death penalty is okay? How much is excessive? How much is okay? Is it 1 out of 100 people okay to die? One innocent person out of 100 to die via the death penalty? I don't like that number. I don't want to be that one person. I don't want to be that one person. And once again, there's such a racial history here in the States about, and there still is, about the death penalty. I am anti-death penalty across the board. Not against punishing white-collar criminals, however. I want to say that. Paul Kamish, how you doing, Paul? Hope everything's going well. Bankers should be beheaded. Well, there is an argument for that. There is an argument for that. The death sentence does not deter crime. This is true too. It is here in the States, and I've talked about this before, is that we are in a conflict between what kind of culture we want to be, whether or not we want to be a punitive culture or we want to be a nurturing culture. And just because we're nurturing, or I would rather be like Norway than like a North Korea, for example, or Turkey, for example. Yeah, I'm going to crap on Turkey and President Erdogan. I can do that. I would rather be more like Norway, Sweden, something a little bit more of a nurturing society than a society that's based on punishment. And the death penalty does not deter crime whatsoever. All right, is that it? And you're right. The death penalty has no place in a civilized society, Paul Kamish. Absolutely, it has no place whatsoever. And you're right. You're giving the government permission to kill its citizens. And I don't want to get all Jeffersonian here, but the government is here to protect the rights of its citizens, right? I'm sorry for that, 2 rights. But the government's here to protect the rights of the citizens. It's not here to kill the citizens. It's not here to abuse the citizens. All right. So that's it, everyone. This is the show. Am I going to be doing some Jenga stuff, some meditative stuff, some fun stuff at 3 o'clock today? Yeah, probably. I'll be doing it. I had fun yesterday. I'm going to do it again. If you're watching on Facebook, I can't interact with you because I only see the comments here on YouTube. So I was streaming to my personal Facebook page. If you come over, I do this show every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Come on over to the YouTube channel, Laughing in Disbelief. And, we can interact with each other here. Everyone else, thanks for showing up. Thanks for contributing. Thanks for interacting. Thanks for sharing. I had a lot of fun. We're going to do the same thing tomorrow. 9 to 10 a.m.-ish or so. Take care. Be good. Be strong. I'm going to do my epic pose maybe this way.